so tomorrow is your admits paper. So teacher, we shouldn't waste time. Okay, so we'll make this 30 minutes. It's a good opportunity for you all to learn something which would be valuable for tomorrow's exam. Okay, so I'll straight away go into some things that maybe some difficult concepts. Okay, so in previous lessons I already discussed how to score in your exam. Okay, how to get your A, B, C. Okay, how to earn some points from the different topics. Okay, so now we go for some what you call some critical topics, the topics that you all will always forget the concepts. Okay, so differentiation. Okay, so remember in your differentiation you have the minimum point, maximum point, turning point. Okay, it is dy dx equals to 0. Okay, just like a revision. So I hope you all understand what is differentiation with the relation with graph. Okay, so when you have your graph, the curve from down going up, so you have a maximum point, and your graph from up going down, then you have a minimum point, right? Okay, so at the turning point, your gradient is equals to 0. Okay, so what is the meaning of dy dx? Dy means the difference in y, divided by the dx means the difference in x. Okay, so when you do your modern maths, you know that y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1, correct? The difference in y divided by the difference in x is the gradient for your line graph. So the same thing for your curve. Okay, the dy dx at the turning point, that means at the minimum point or maximum point, that means the line of your graph is horizontal. Okay, so you draw a horizontal line for minimum and maximum value, so that means the gradient is 0, correct or not? Your horizontal line, your gradient is 0. Okay, so remember, whenever you see the word minimum point, maximum point, turning point, okay, dy dx equals to 0. Another thing is that when you have the word of gradient, okay, gradient means not y2 minus y1. If you look at differentiation, this is at max. Gradient means gradient of tangent or gradient of normal to the curve. Okay, if tangent to the curve is dy dx and normal to the curve is negative 1 over dy dx. So how does this exist? Is from your parallel lines and perpendicular lines. Okay, if you have two lines perpendicularly bisect, okay, perpendicularly bisect, another word that they can use for normal is perpendicular bisector. Okay, m1 times with m2 equals to negative 1. Or you already learned in your modern maths, you just apply that in your ad maths. Perpendicular bisector, two lines cut through at 90 degrees, m1 times with m2 equals to negative 1. Okay, so the straight line or the tangent line is your dy dx. So you want to find the normal line that forms the 90 degrees, correct? So your m1 is dy dx, m1 times m2 equals to negative 1. So your m2 or the gradient of normal to the curve is equals to negative 1 over dy dx. Okay, so this is just to brush, to recall some things in your mind. Okay, well, the point is maximum or minimum. Okay, whenever you want to find the point is maximum or minimum, teacher later will come to one example where you have different term for maximum minimum. Okay. Now, the point is maximum minimum. Let's say you already find a point. Let's say point A is a 3, 4. Okay, you need to test whether the point is a maximum point or a minimum point. Okay, because in your curve you have a minimum point and your maximum point, so you don't know whether this turning point is minimum or maximum. So to test it, you need to differentiate again. Okay, d square y divided by dx square. If it is positive, that means it is a minimum point. Positive means not maximum. Minimum point in your curve, the point at the bottom, the last point at the bottom, the smallest value because of minimum point. So after that point, your graph will be going up. Correct or not? It is going up. That means when you differentiate again, the difference is positive. Okay, so when the d square y dx square is positive, that means this point is minimum. Okay, then when you test d square y dx square, that means when you differentiate again, if the value is negative, that means this point is a maximum point. Okay, now let's have a look at this question. Okay, I don't have time to give you all 1 minute or 2 minutes to do it now. So we will do it together. Okay, so the curve y equals to x cubed minus 6x squared plus 9x plus 3 passes through the point P25 and has two turning points. Remember, turning points means minimum point or maximum point. Okay, two turning points A, 3, 3 and B. Find the gradient of the curve at P. So when in your exam the other day, last session, teacher already gave you all the tips to answer the questions. Number one, highlight the words. Okay, the word here is turning point and A is gradient. Gradient to the curve is tangent, dy dx. Remember, whenever you see the word gradient to the curve, that means dy dx. So differentiate dy dx. Okay, so you differentiate y value dy dx equals to, bring 3 to the 3 down. Now it's too late to explain to you how to differentiate. Suppose you are an expert now. Okay, so 3x square minus 12x plus 9 is your dy dx. So at point P 2, 5, substitute the value of x equals to 2, so you get your dy dx equals to negative 3. Okay, you can leave your answer like that, or you can elaborate gradient of the curve at point P equals to negative 3. Okay, then now you want to find equation of the normal to the curve. If you want to find the equation of normal to the curve, then that means you need to know the gradient of normal. Okay, you need to know the gradient of normal. Okay, so what is the gradient of normal? Just now teacher already told, right? Okay, m1 times m2 equals to negative 1. If your gradient of tangent is negative 3, negative 3 times m2 equals to negative 1. So your m2 is negative 1 divided by negative 3, which is equals to 1 over 3. Okay, so over here, gradient of normal at point P is 1 over 3. Okay, so equation of normal at point P already mentioned in your question. Again, I said highlight the word equation of normal P, point P. Okay, you need to highlight, because when you highlight, it will automatically what you call register in your mind what you need to find. Okay, this is a way to save your time by reading many times at the question, because you don't have time 2.5 hours, correct? So, well, equation of the normal at P25, so you need to use the formula of advance. Y minus y1 equals to mx minus x1. So y minus the coordinate of y equals to the gradient of normal, x minus the coordinate of x, and you simplify your answer. Okay, well, if you use y equals to mx plus c, you still can find, you substitute the value of coordinate of p, x2, y5, you can find the value of c, correct? So you just substitute, no problem with that. Okay, so remember, this question will come out in your exam, either in your paper 1 or in your paper 2. Okay, sure, you'll have this minimum point, maximum point, turning points. Okay, so whether the points is a maximum or minimum, some sort like a famous question. Okay, so remember this. Actually, they will just play around with the figures. Maybe they ask you to give you the answer in terms of k. Okay, or you need to prove whether this point is a maximum point or minimum point. Okay. Okay, well, now the C part. So this is A, B, C. That means this question is in your paper 2. Paper 2 means normally it will be in section B. Okay. So the coordinates of B and determine whether B is the maximum or the minimum point. So how to find the coordinate of B? B is what? Already highlight just now, right? Has two turning points, A and B. So remember, whenever you see the word turning point, minimum point, maximum point, straight away you do dy dx. That's it. Okay, straight away do dy dx. Okay. So at turning point, dy dx equals to 0. Minimum point, maximum point, turning point, dy dx equals to 0. Teacher already explained just now, the gradient is 0 because horizontal line. You know what is the meaning of gradient, right? Gradient means keturunan. When you climb up the hill, it is very stiff, your gradient will be high. So if it is a straight line, there is no stiffness at all. You are walking on a straight line. That means it is a 0. Your gradient is 0. Okay, so your dy dx equals to 0 at the minimum point, maximum point, or we call as turning point. Okay, so dy dx is 3x square minus 12x plus 9 equals to 0. Okay, so you factorize, you get x equals to 1 or x equals to 3. Okay, then just now you already mentioned in your question paper, in the question that x equals to 3 is point A. So x equals to 1 would be point B. So remember to substitute x equals to 1 in the initial equation of the curve. Okay, the equation of the curve is x cubed minus 6x squared plus 9x plus 3. Okay, substitute 1 and you get the coordinate of y. So you can write down thus the coordinates of B is 1, 7. Well done. Okay, so you will get 2 marks over here. Then you need to determine whether this coordinate is maximum or minimum. So that's the reason teacher asks you to highlight. When you highlight, you won't stop. You know what is the objective. What does the final answer is. What they want is important. So you need to find d square y divided by dx square. Okay, so you need to differentiate again. So when you differentiate, you will get 6x minus 2. Okay. Substitute the value of x. So the value of d square y dx square is negative. So negative means this is a maximum point. Okay. Now, last workshop, you all asked for rate of change. Teacher, how to answer questions on rate of change? Okay, now let's look at it. Teacher will try to teach you in a simpler method. Okay, let's look at the question. Given that y equals to 3 over 4x squared, find the approximate change in x which will cause y to decrease from 48 to 47.7. Okay, you will have sure to have rate of change, or what they also will call as small changes. You will have another question is this is dy, this is delta y. Another one is dy dt, rate of change. This is the small changes. Okay, either small changes or rate of change will come out in your paper 1. Okay, if it did not come out in your paper 1, sure they'll ask you any of the parts in your paper 2 long question bahagian C. Okay, or they can also straight away start as bahagian A as a kebat question. So now let's have a look. It is very easy to answer this question, but students will always try to omit this question because they think it is difficult. What you need to do is highlight first what they want and what is given. Okay, find the approximate change in x. That means delta x. What are the changes in x? Approximate means what? Hampir dengan. That means a very small change. Okay, that will cause y to decrease from 48 to 47.7. Okay, so always you need to take the initial value minus the old value. Then only you can look at the difference. Okay, for example, last year you scored at maths 40 marks. Okay, so this year after all the workshops and everything, you can get 60 marks. So what is the difference in your marks? 60 minus 40. Okay, minus with your old value. So always remember, when you look at the difference, the current value, so of course when you look at the difference is big value minus small value, right? But the difference for the approximate change always the same, the current value minus the old value. So whether negative or positive. Negative means decrease, increase means positive. Okay, so y would decrease from 48 to 47.7. So how much is the decrease? So you need to calculate delta y. Okay, delta y, you can put the small triangle, or you can use the symbol of delta y equals to 47.7 minus 48. Okay, students, so these are the things must be in your mind. So given your y, okay, if you have rate of change, approximate change, given your y, straight away you can calculate dy dx. Given your y, calculate your dy dx. Okay, approximate change in x, so you write down delta x, put a question mark. You want to find delta x. What is given? Delta y. The changes in y is given. What you want? Delta x. What is given? Delta y. Also given y. That means you can find dy dx. Okay, so you write down all these first, then straight away you can answer the question. Okay, so y is given 3 over 4x square. So dy dx, bring 2 to here, 2 times 3 over 4, so you get 3 over 2x. Okay, so you already calculate dy dx. What is given? Delta y, 47.7 minus 48, negative 0.3. Okay, now how to answer this question? Okay, you look at the delta x divided by delta y, approximately same as dy dx. You can omit this, you can skip this working, no need. Straight away you go to the one the teacher put the red line, right? Okay, straight away you write down what you want. You want delta x. What is given? Delta y is given. Again, write down what you want, delta x. What is given? Delta y. Now, how to get delta x? Dy dx is approximately same as delta y, delta x. Okay. Now, how to get delta x? If you want to get delta x, your dy must be bottom. You see the red line, teacher can cut. Delta y and dy is approximately same. Okay. So you can cut. That means you need to write dx dy. I repeat again. Write down what is given delta x. What is given delta y. What you want? Delta x. So from delta y, how to get delta x? So you need to put dx on top, dy bottom, so that dy and delta y is approximately same, so you can cancel it off. So you get delta x equals to dx. Okay. So when you have this concept in your mind, then you can substitute your value. So delta x equals to dx dy. You already calculate just now dy dx. So dx dy is just songsangkan. 3x divided by 2, the inverse would be, or songsangkan would be 2 over 3x times by delta y is negative 0.3. Okay. So now you can always substitute the x value, the initial value, the earliest value, or if you don't have, you can calculate over here given the initial, the first value of y is 48. So 3 over 4 x square equals to 48, the equation of y. So x square equals to 64, square root of 64 is 8. You take positive because anyhow you want square root of x square, you get positive value. Okay, substitute. So 2 divided by 3 times 8 times negative 0.3. So you get a delta x. Okay, so these questions, approximate change and delta dy dt or dx dt rate of change, you need to play with the equation. What is given, what you want. When you know this one, you can play with the symbols or equations. Okay, so don't leave this question blank. Okay, teacher will discuss another question. For example, this question, these are passive questions. Okay, find the value of dy dx when x equals to 2. So first one is very easy, just find dy dx. Okay, so I can write this as 15x plus 24x power of negative 3. Find your dy dx, simplify 15 minus 72 divided by x power 4. I think this one no problem with you. Then substitute the value of x equals to 2. You get your answer dy dx is 10.5. Okay, 2 marks. You find your dy dx, 1 mark. Okay, dy dx equals to 10.5, 1 mark. Okay, question B, express in terms of k the approximate change in y when x changes from 2 to 2 plus k when k is a small change. Don't get scared or panic with this question. Okay, as teacher mentioned, write down what is given, okay, and what you want. So the approximate change in y when x changes, so you want delta y, so you write delta y, put a question mark, that is what you want. Okay, x changes from 2 to 2 plus k. So given delta x is 2 plus k minus 2, which is equals to k. Okay, so that's it. Now you can just write down, you want delta y, given delta x. So how to get delta y? Dy dx. So that, okay, so that the delta x and dx you can cut. Teacher didn't put the red line, but you can cut. So the delta y equals to dy dx is equals to 10.5. You already calculated in question A. Times with your delta x, you can straight away write down the value as k, or you can show 2 plus k minus 2, which is k. So your delta y is 10.5k. Okay. So this question is 4 marks, paper 1. Okay, now teacher will explain to you all rate of change. So this is the last question I'm going to explain on what you call approximate value and rate of change. Later teacher will go back to some other questions, touch some little bit more. Okay, so let's look at how to find rate of change. I don't know whether the student is over here, but the other day a student from this group asked me, teacher, how to answer questions for rate of change. Any simpler methods? Okay, so now let me explain. The volume of water V is given, V is 1 over 5 h cubed plus 7h. Okay, where HCm is the height of the water in the container. Water is poured into the container at the rate of 15 cm cube. Find the rate of change, blah blah. Okay, so when you read the full thing, right, you repeat, and you want to read again and again to get the idea, and you are so scared because everything given in so long words, correct or not? So what you need to do is that you need to take out your highlighter, what teacher told the other day, highlight important words, or straight away write down what is given. Okay, given your V, 1 over 5 h cubed plus 7h. Okay, given your V, straight away you need to calculate dV dH. Come on, students. I hope you all get it, because we don't have time to waste. Even your paper 1, you don't have time, correct? No? So given your V, 1 over 5 h cubed plus 7h, straight away you calculate dV dH. Okay, then H is cm, done. Now you look at 15 cm cube s power negative 1. What is that? What is that? Cm cube is volume. Divide by s. So divide by s. S is what? Second. Second is for what? Time. Rate of change. So volume divide by time t. So this is dV dt. Okay, this is the clue to answer question now. Okay, no need to read many times. Write down this one, 15 cm cube s power of negative 1. So volume divide by s is time. So dv dt. Okay, so write down what is given. Given dv dt is 15. Okay, just now you already calculate dv dh. Given dv dt. Now, what you need to find? Find the rate of change, cm over s negative 1, right? So what is cm? Cm is h, height, right? S negative 1 is the time. S is time. So you write down dh dt equals to what? Write a question mark. Okay. You write down dh dt equals to what? Question mark. So that is what you want. Okay, when h is 3, write down h3. Okay, teacher repeat again. When you read this question, you know this is rate of change. Given, let's say, v is something to do in terms of h, straight away you calculate dv dh. Okay, you might get 1 mark over here. Straight away calculate dv dh. Then what is given? Cm cube over s, that means volume. Rate of change of volume, dv dt is 15. Then what you need to find? Cm over s negative 1, that means dh dt. Write down dh dt equals to question mark. Then h is 3, that's it. Now, let's look at the chain rule. Now, you write down, students, just now, you already write what is given, what you want, correct or not? You want dh dt. So, you write down dh dt equals to what is given? dv dh, correct or not? Given is dv dh, but you want dh dt, you want dh to be on top. You already find dv dh, but you want dh on top. So you just inverse it. 3h square plus 35 over 5, you write as dh dv, 5 over 3h square plus 35. Okay, dh dv. Now, at the bottom here, you want dt. So you need to times with dv dt. Okay, so that you see the red line, teacher can cancel the red lines so that I can get dh dt. Okay, so already given just now, dv dt is 15, so straight away substitute. Okay, get the answer. So when you have the answer with the long decimal places, leave your answer in fraction. Okay, paper 1, you need to give your answer in the simplest form, because paper 1 is like objective, simplest form. Okay, that means you give in fraction. Simplify your fraction. If decimal places 1 or 2 decimal places, okay, unless you have conditions how many decimal places. Okay, if not, if you have this answer 75 divided by 62, okay, teacher press my calculator. 75 divided by 62 is 1.209677419. Rather than writing in 4 decimal places, I can write this in fraction, which is 75 divided by 62. Okay, so you must have the unit already given just now, unit cm over s negative 1. Okay, any question regarding rate of change and also small changes in x value, y value? And students?
Teacher,
Yeah, okay.
for that means like approximate change and small change is similar, teacher.
Approximate change, yeah, same, similar.
So
Same.
delta x more.
Yes, no. Rate of change you have, remember, rate means time. Rate of change you have dt, dv, dt, and so on. Approximate change is small changes. Small changes is also small changes. Same. The small triangle and the delta is same. Okay, it's a small changes. Okay.
Okay, teacher.
Any questions? Students, any question about rate of change and small changes?
Teacher.
Yeah.
Let's say they never give the, let's say like this when let's say they never give anything about the formula, and then that means like they give cuboid. That means you have to use the volume of cuboid, right?
Yes. Sometimes they didn't mention. You can look at you can guess what is it from the unit. If cm cube means volume, cm square means they're talking about area.
Okay, teacher, thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Okay, now we go to next question. This one teacher will also explain with this. Okay, this question teacher already discussed in last slide, but I need to mention again because I need to help you all. Okay, so this question, of course, this is a very critical question. Okay, but in your exam, they will because every year is the same. They will ask you to find. They ask you to prove the formula for area or volume. They ask you to prove. Okay, so in this type of questions, you might need to know the surface area, but sometimes and most of the time they will give you formula. If you don't have in your formula sheet, they will give you formula to find the surface area, for example for the cone. Okay, but cylinder is easy, the surface area is easy. After this teacher will discuss. So this question, I already discussed, but teacher need to explain again. Okay, given volume of a cylinder 250 pi, you need to find the dimensions such that the surface area of the can is as small as possible. Okay, another keyword for minimum point, maximum point is like this. Given is the surface area is as small as possible. The keyword is as small as possible means minimum point. So that means the minimum value. Okay, minimum value. So that means because you will look at this question, you even don't know what topic is this. Okay, so you need to catch the keyword for differentiation. Okay, sometimes they try to give something else for minimum and maximum. Okay, for example, this one as small as possible means minimum point. Okay, but I hope that they will let you all know that minimum point, maximum point. Okay, if not, you try to catch the words. So uh, to prove the first part, they'll ask you to prove. Okay, they won't give so difficult. They'll ask you to prove that the surface area is what, okay, or the volume is what. Later teacher will show. Now we discuss first what is the surface area of a cylinder. So cylinder, you have the area on top and round, which is circle, pi r square plus pi r square 2 pi r square. Then the net of the curve, okay, when you open the net, 2 pi r is the circumference of the circle times with the height of the cylinder is h. Okay, so the surface area for the net, the circle net, is 2 pi r h. So the surface area of cylinder is 2 pi r square plus 2 pi r h. Okay, so for cylinder, maybe you all need to know something like cone or sphere. Sometimes they'll try to help you. So okay, so look at on my left hand side first. Left hand side, the last row, A equals to 2 pi r square plus 500 pi divided by r, or r power of -1. So your question number 9 in your paper 2, normally it will be question 9 or 8 or 7. Normally it will be in question 9 now. Okay, so they ask you to prove that the area of the object given is, let's say, like this. Okay, so when you want to prove, you just play with what is given. Okay, on top, okay, look at the on top one. Teacher has written what is given. Given the volume is pi r square h equals to 250 pi. Okay, so at the bottom here, A don't have h. Okay, so I take out my h. H equals to 250 pi divided by pi r square. And they're talking about A. A is the surface area of a cylinder. So you substitute your h value inside the surface area of a cylinder. That's it. Then you can prove already. Okay, 4 marks or 3 marks. A part. And then the B part, they will ask you to find R value or H value, as teacher has done on my right hand side. Okay, so the surface area is as small as possible, the surface area is as minimum as possible, or you need to build the surface area so that the cost would be very minimum. So all this, that means dA dr equals to 0. Okay, so you can find the R value, substitute in your initial H equation, the number 1, equation 1, you can get H. Okay, so this is your B part. Your C part, they will ask you the just a very simple question, rate of change of H. This one, H is 10. Question C, maybe they'll ask you, let's say H is 10.1. If you have accidentally, wrongly measured H value as 0.1 to build the can, so what would be the difference or the small difference of the volume? They can ask you like that type of question. Okay, now that is one part. Now, I want to explain to you all, if you all cannot prove A part, don't leave the question blank, because B part, they will have the word hence. H-E-N-C-E, hence. So you need to follow through from A. So if you didn't prove in A, don't leave the question blank. Still, you can answer part B. Understand? So in your part B, you can use your A. Already A, they already given. After you prove, you should get 2 pi r square plus 500 pi divided by r. In your part B, they said your area must be minimum or as small as possible, which is dA dr equals to 0. So you can still do your B part. Understand? So don't leave this question blank. Okay? Because you'll have this type of questions in your exam paper. So don't leave it blank, because you still get marks for your B part and you still can answer your C part. Okay, because A part is proving, you still can answer. Understand? So don't leave this question blank. Okay, done with my differentiation. Teacher already explained differentiation. So Actually, only that the main thing that teacher explained. These things your teacher just want to touch. This year, most probably, simultaneous equation can be a real life situation, right? So when you look at questions like this, you don't get panic. It's very easy. 5 marks only. A Yacht move such that its equidistance of locus is given, locus equation given. Then another linear equation is also given. So find the intersection point. Same as what you do for simultaneous equation, just that they have given in real life situation. Okay, so don't get panic with these real life situations. It's the same easy question. Okay, so linear equation is substitute inside your quadratic equation. As teacher mentioned earlier, you need to factorize or use the formula of negative b plus minus b square minus 4ac square root divided by 2a to solve. Okay, don't press your calculator. Your calculator factorization is for checking. Okay, done. Now, linear law.
Teacher,
Yeah, anything?
in paper 1 and paper 2, right, teacher?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
formula will be teacher.
Formula is same. Formula will be given the same formula. Okay, no difference.
For both papers.
Yeah, both papers same formula. Okay.
Dr. Sarvesh,
Yeah. Kale?
there are requests like you use a little bit of Malay terms when explaining
Oh,
this.
okay.
Earlier, yes.
Okay, I'll try to use some Malay terms. So teacher used to teach admits in English. So I'll try my best. Okay. So now let's look at linear law. Persamaan linear. Okay. So when you look at linear law, the first thing must come into your mind is y equals to mx plus c. Okay. Students, teacher will explain. Linear law is in your paper 1 and also in your paper 2. Okay. So write down y equals to mx plus c. Okay. Linear law. Persamaan linear y sama dengan mx tambah c. Okay. First. Then what do you call, you need to compare with the equation given, find your m, find your c, then draw your lines of best fit, correct or not? Okay, so what okay, look at number 4, number 4, number 4. If paper 2 graph section C must read from your graph. Don't forget, students, for your linear law and also your linear programming, okay, bahagian C mesti daripada section C. Bahagian C, sorry. You see, when I use Malay, I have problem. Okay, your section C must be from your graph. Okay, bahagian C mestilah baca daripada graph kamu. Remember, because these are the common mistakes when we go for marking, common mistakes done by student. Okay, bahagian C, mereka gantikan coordinate Y, coordinate X, cuba cari M, cuba cari C. The answer is correct. Okay, but you'll get 0 marks. Remember, your part C must be read from your graph. Must be from your graph. No other, must read the values from your graph. And also for linear law, when you draw your graph, your straight line must pass through your y-intercept. If your graph did not pass through your y-intercept, your graph 0 marks. So of course, when your graph is 0 marks, your C part is 0 marks. Remember that. Okay. So your graph must pass through y-intercept. If it didn't pass through, that means something's wrong. Put up your hand, take another graph paper, try, maybe it's going for negative values. Be careful with that. So your bargains, your graph paper, your linear law, your graph, the straight line must pass through your y-intercept, which is C value. Okay. Now, this here is an online marking, correct? So this is online like marking. When teacher went for the taklimat, I'm sure your teacher, if your teachers are going for marking, they should have explained to you all. So this is a request that they asked to let know the students for linear law and linear programming. If possible, write down your answer like this. Teacher is shown here. That means your value, you see your table. Teacher write the table. For example, this graph, your y-axis is y square root of x. You have the table. Then you draw the graph is your bahagian B, and your bahagian C, your equation you change into linear equation. Compare the value of A. Find the gradient. Your gradient must be 2 points from your straight line. Okay, and also C2 is also here. Okay, so all your answers in that graph paper itself. Easy for the examiners to mark because they're going to scan your exam paper, so easy for the examiner to mark. Or you can use front and back of your graph paper. If your writing is big or you think you're not satisfied with this, you can use front and back. Okay. If you forget, you write down your bahagian C, your question number 11 linear law in your booklet, and your graph paper is at the back. Correct? Now your graph paper will be, your 2 graph papers is the last 2 pieces in your booklet, unless you have attached more extra papers. Okay, so the examiners will look at, it's quite difficult to go to halaman berapa we mark, then we need to check again to accumulate your marks at your graph paper. Okay, so if possible, straight away on your graph paper, write down your table, what are the values. Remember, if you use 2 decimal places, all the values for coordinate is 2 decimal places. Draw your graph nicely, linear log, you look at this graph, y-intercept is -2, going to negative value. So draw nicely, choose 2 points, find your gradient, and bahagian C also got space to write down in your graph paper itself. Okay. So this is about linear law. So the last one, teacher, I'm not going to touch about linear programming. Linear programming, teacher already explained many times. This question also I already explained the first time, but teacher will discuss again on your index. Okay. So index is an easy question for y'all. Okay, so y'all will aim for 10 marks. Okay, so go for it. It's the same as normal. So A1, say the value of T. Okay, you still can calculate 2018 base year 2016. This is a price index. Okay, you can do the calculation, no problem with that. Okay, so for this one, if the price ingredient of A, okay, this one also you can calculate the price index times by 100. Okay, no problem with this. Now, B1, calculate the composite index. So make sure you do it nicely. Your composite index, don't forget previous one. Okay, this one, remember your price index. If they are talking about price, not only in index or in any other parts in your exam paper, if they are talking about money, must be 2 decimal places. Okay, for example, this question, when you press your calculator will give answer 3.9. If you write down 3.9, you will lose 1 mark, because there is no money 3.9. It should be 3 ringgit and 90 cents. So must have 2 decimal places. 3 decimal places, also 0 marks. Okay, 1 decimal places, 0 mark. No other options. Only 2 decimal places for price. This type of questions will also exist in your geometric progression or arithmetic progression, where you have, let's say for example, the pay of 2 person, okay, gaji 2 orang. Then what you call, you have increase of pay, let's say 10% every year. So calculate the sum of pay that they will receive in, or their savings in 25th year, okay, T25. So that if they are talking about money, when you have cents, should be 2 decimal places. Okay, whatever questions, not only these job GP or AP, any other questions talking about price or money in your exam should be 2 decimal places. Be careful with this. Okay. Okay, so be careful with your composite index. Okay, all these are easy questions for you to get score full marks. Okay, another method that teacher already explained to you all, mouth method. Okay, in your index number, you always will have 3 values. First, they will talk about 2016, 2018. Okay, 2018 base year 2016. Then going to the C part, or like this B2 part or the last part of your question, they will add in another 1 year. Remember, they will add in another 1 year, 2020, for example. Okay, this question is from SBP question. So they've added until 2020. So when you have this type of questions, you can draw a mouth like this. Okay, draw a mouth. Okay, X, Y divide by Z equals to 100, right? Put a mouth. Okay, 2016 in the middle. Then X, Y, the form is X times with Y. Your lips close, right? So that is the division partition, like a straight line, divide by Z. Your answer should be 100. Okay, so composite index for 2018 base 2016, 128.5. Given 120, maybe you want to find 2020 base 2016. Come on, students, you're already studying from, you all should know this trend, right? They'll ask you 2020 base 2016. So divide by Z, what is the Z value? They say. Okay, whenever they play around here, X is given, Z is given, find value of Y. Okay, you know this question, the last part. Okay, so you give your answer. Just use XY divide by Z equals to 100, you can find your Z. Okay, but this question is very special. They have added another one part. Oh, sorry. Teacher didn't copy this one. Okay. Yeah, it's here. Okay. Last part over here. This kebat question. Okay, this is a kebat question. They have another one part. They're using the price index. So they want to ask you to calculate the maximum number of packet of biscuits that can be produced. So when you get the number of packet of biscuits, for example, this one is 500 ringgit, divide by 23.75. So I get the answer 21.05 and so on. So get the whole number, because this is number of packets. So be careful with this. Don't give decimal places. Okay, because decimal places number of packets does not exist. Okay, students. So these are all the what I call the last 30 minutes for admits. Okay, so teacher want to talk to you all. As I already explained to you all, relax yourself. When you have your paper one, okay, please, when you look through all the questions, when the pengawas ask you to check through number of pages and number of questions, when you just checking your pages, also go through some questions. Whichever is easy, just circle and do all the easy questions first, then go for the questions that is difficult. Okay, then remember to highlight your words. Remember to use the conditions. Conditions means whether they want you to in 2 decimal places or how many significant figures. And remember, another thing is the pi value. Value 3.142 is different from 22/7. Okay, pi value 3.142 is different from 22/7. Okay, so these things that you need to be take care for paper one. For your paper two, also teacher already says some of this time is online marking. Please set yourself question 1A, 1B, 1C. Arrange first all the questions in your booklet. Okay, then when you go through your questions, when you check the number of pages, whichever question is easy, you do first all the questions that you are very confident with. Okay, you love linear law. You think you will get 10 marks, do your linear law first. Okay, your graph, then linear programming, you already target, do linear programming. Index, 10 marks, okay, do your index. Okay, then you get back to when you already read through, check the number of pages, you know already the trend of questions, which one is easy for you. Answer the questions first, then only come back to the difficult questions. This will save your time for 2.5 hours. Okay, then another thing is that what do you call bahagian A, B, C, right? If you don't know A part, remember, if you don't know A part, don't leave your B and C part. Answer your B part, answer your C part. Okay. Most of the question, for example, trigonometric functions, you draw the graph of sine, cos, and tangent. A part will be proving. Second part will be hence. So hence means you need to follow through from A. Okay, you already proved, right? So you need to use that value to calculate, to solve the bahagian B. Okay, so you need to use bahagian A to solve bahagian B. If we say in bahasa Melayu is seterusnya. Okay, in your exam paper kamu ada perkataan seterusnya ataupun daripada jawapan di A. Okay, that means you need to use whatever you already calculate in A. That means already prove in A. Even though you don't know how to answer bahagian A, but you already have the final answer there. They ask you to prove or show. Use that to answer bahagian B. Understand? If go to bahagian B, then only you start to prove, then you answer, everything is perfectly correct, you get 0 marks. Okay, because you're supposed to do it in bahagian A. You have the word hence. Hence means must follow from A. You cannot do something new. You cannot calculate again in bahagian B. Okay, understand? So that's what teacher is saying. If you cannot answer A, B, answer your C. If you cannot find, for example, area under the curve, you find volume under the curve. Okay, don't leave blank. This is how you can score for your admits. Then for your admits paper 2, let's say you did GP. After you finish all the questions, you already want to pass up and you think that this question should be AP. You just do the working for AP, but you're not sure GP or AP. You just do AP at the side. Don't rub the earlier one. Okay, so the examiner will mark both. So which one is correct, they'll give you marks. You can do this for your paper 2. You give benefit of doubt. Okay, so if you are not very sure, just don't cancel. If you're sure the first one is wrong, then you cancel. Okay, if you're not sure whether which one is correct, okay, just leave it both. Okay, students, so I hope our teachers have explained enough. So to wrap up, maybe 3 minutes or 2 minutes, any questions from the students?
Teacher,
Yes.
teacher,
Yeah, I'm listening.
for paper 2, right?
Okay.
What question can write 2 working, teacher? The correct one and the wrong one.
You cannot write for all. Of course, you won't have time, 2.5 hours. You won't have time. But if you have written 2, the examiner, okay, if you cancel already, let's say you write 2, you cancel 1, but the cancel one is correct. But the examiners don't have right to mark because you already cancelled. Okay, I hope you understand. You won't have time to, of course you can. Yeah.
In the middle, I must write draw a stroke, teacher. Stroke.
To cancel.
To do. No.
Oh, to do
First,
again. Okay.
First,
Normally we won't see. Okay, normally in your exam paper, just use right or left or on top or bottom. You just write the number. This is 1A. Then again you do 1A. So you write 1A. Okay, but this one normally when students have doubt, when they have doubt, they'll try to do again at the side. Okay, or any working that you do in your paper 2. Okay, any working that you do at the side at paper 2, don't cancel. Don't use your pencil to put a line. If you just put a line, that means we won't mark. Okay, any of your working. So remember, you have marks for working. Okay, so another thing, before your exam, go through all your formulas. When you go through all the formulas, even though the formulas are given, automatically it will come in your mind. So try to get the formula. Then you won't get marks if you write the formula. When you substitute values inside the formula, okay, then marks are given. 1 mark will be given when you substitute values. Okay, so don't leave any part. Okay, because some parts in your paper, for example, index, your A is wrong, but you're going to do composite index. From the A value, you key in the B, right? So your B is also wrong. You have keyed in the wrong value, but your concept is correct. Your working is correct. Given marks, benefit of doubt is given mark. Okay, so whatever working you do, you don't cancel. Okay, any other questions?
Teacher,
Yeah.
if let's say they gave like permutation and combination questions, like how do we found out the combination, whether it's permutation or combinations?
Okay, normally permutation, it's arrangement, who comes first, who come next. Okay, you have the arrangement of chairs, who want to sit with who, the conditions given. For combination, normally it's like grouping. From 5 people, we want to choose how many people. Okay, from 5 chairs, which 3 chairs that you are going to choose to take out. Okay, so you can use P and C. So if let's say they give simple questions like also one question, I think this one teacher posted in the group for paper 1, NP0 or NC0. Okay, so just substitute N value anything, 5C0 or 5C1, you forget that it's equals to 1. So I think other than that, combination and permutations, nothing much. Arrangement and also grouping only. Okay, choosing. Okay, students, anyone?
Okay, teacher.
Yeah. Okay, any students? Anything? If no, then we can. I know you all need time to take your good rest. Okay, be relaxed to answer your question. Which one easy to score paper on paper 2? Arun is asking me. Depends on you, Arun. For me, both is good and easy, and paper 1 is important. Okay, so students, good luck in your exam. Okay, relax yourself, don't stress yourself, be confident to answer your questions. Okay, if you put into your mind or you answer some difficult question, you stuck on it, don't waste your time, go for the easy ones first, because difficult questions will demotivate you. Okay, so just try to be happy when you answer that you know the questions. When you know, that means you'll be motivated to answer more questions correctly. Okay, so best of luck. And so that's all. If nothing much, that's all. Thank you, students. So I'll pass back
Thank
to
you.
welcome to Dr. Kalai.
Thank you, teacher.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you, teacher.
Yes, welcome, students. No worries. Okay.
Thank you, teacher.
Yeah, welcome. Dr. Kalai, I pass over to you. I think Dr. Kalai is not here. It's okay. You all can exit, students. You all need time for preparation. See you all. Bye-bye.